When you go on new creative journeys, it is exciting for people to appreciate that.
Yeah.
Especially if people, didn't think that it was possible. Like when I started off in.
This video is fictional and for entertainment purposes only. No official reports confirm this event as fact. At first, it looked like just another celebrity scandal. But as the Diddy trial exploded into the headlines, something darker emerged. Federal agents, sealed testimonies, and a growing list of A-list names tied to the chaos. Cassie, Kanye, Drake, even Prince. Some were witnesses, others, suspects. This isn't just about one man. It's about a hidden world unraveling, one celebrity at a time. Cassie Ventura was never supposed to be the face of a legal revolution. In the early 2000s, she was the picture of a pop music fantasy, glamorous, quiet, and endlessly photogenic. She was introduced to the world through Diddy's label, Bad Boy Records, with her hit single Me and You skyrocketing her to instant fame. But behind the scenes, Cassie's rise was anything but romantic. It was controlling, isolated, and increasingly terrifying. Her 2023 lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs didn't just expose a toxic relationship, it triggered a domino effect in the entertainment industry, one where NDAs, payoffs, and whispered rumors could no longer contain the truth. Cassie accused Diddy of a pattern of abuse that spanned over a decade: physical assaults, emotional manipulation, trafficking, surveillance. She alleged that he drugged her, coerced her into disturbing acts, and used his power in the industry to trap her in a gilded cage. And these weren't just vague claims. Her legal team submitted specific dates, events, and alleged locations, including hotels, studio sessions, and private parties where things reportedly escalated. But what truly shook Hollywood wasn't just what Cassie said. It was who she might implicate next. She mentioned unnamed guests and industry peers who were either present during these events or fully aware of what was going on. The legal language was careful, but the implications were explosive. If Cassie had seen other celebrities in these environments, if she had receipts, then this wasn't a private matter. It was a system, a culture. Immediately after her lawsuit went public, at least 4 other women filed similar suits, each naming Diddy and each referencing a shared pattern of behavior. One woman, a former backup dancer, said she'd seen Diddy escort high-profile artists into private rooms with Cassie. She didn't name names, but according to leaked court memos, those names were included in sealed portions of the case. And that's when the internet turned its attention to the parties. The music video sets, the retreats. Suddenly, Cassie wasn't just Diddy's ex. She was a witness to an entire era of exploitation. Even more chilling, her case settled in less than 24 hours. Diddy paid out an undisclosed sum. His legal team called it a business decision, but others saw it as an attempt to silence her before discovery began. Because if Cassie had been allowed to testify under oath, the names she might have mentioned could have triggered an entirely different investigation, one that didn't stop with Diddy. And one of those names, according to insiders close to the case, was Kanye West. Kanye West's connection to the Diddy trial isn't written in court documents, at least not publicly, but his name has hovered in the periphery of this case like smoke near a fire. For years, Kanye has dropped cryptic warnings, erratic statements, and strange references to a hidden world inside the entertainment industry. At the time, most people brushed it off as another Kanye outburst. But in the context of the Diddy investigation, his words are being re-examined, and they suddenly feel like warnings we missed. Their relationship started out like many industry mentorships. Diddy saw potential in Kanye during the early 2000s, even inviting him to exclusive bad boy events. They posed for photos, shared stages, and partied together during the peak of hip-hop's luxury era. But over time, Kanye's tone shifted. In interviews and social media rants, he began painting a darker picture of what he had seen in those circles. One clip from 2018 shows Kanye nervously speaking about billionaire handlers and ritual energy inside the music business. The footage went viral for its paranoia, but who was he talking about? Later, in a since-deleted tweet, Kanye wrote, "They tried to clone me, same way they did to others. You don't go to those parties unless you're in, unless you give something up." At the time, most chalked it up to mental health issues, but after Cassie's allegations of surveillance, coercion, and psychological abuse, those lines took on a more ominous tone. People began pulling receipts, interviews, lyrics, paparazzi videos. In one bizarre video from 2015, Kanye walks out of a meeting with Diddy and refuses to speak to the press. His face is tense. He's silent. That silence, in retrospect, feels less like ego and more like fear. A source close to the federal probe has alleged that Kanye's name came up in early interviews, not as a participant, but as a reluctant observer. According to that source, Kanye was present at more than one private Diddy event where illegal activity may have occurred. He reportedly left early in at least 2 instances. He never called the police, but he stopped attending, and he stopped associating with Diddy almost entirely after 2016. One of Kanye's former collaborators has claimed that Ye attempted to warn other artists about those parties, but was shut down every time. The labels didn't want him speaking. The press wrote it off. The legal teams threatened him behind closed doors. Eventually, Kanye stopped talking about Diddy altogether. And then there's the Whisper Network, the one that claims Kanye gave sealed testimony anonymously. There's no public record of this, and nothing has been confirmed. But some believe Ye may have spoken to investigators through his legal team, providing context for events he witnessed, but refusing to go on the record out of fear for his safety. It's hard to know where the truth ends and the conspiracy begins when it comes to Kanye. But the more Diddy's case unfolds, the more relevant Kanye's old rants begin to sound. If he really did see what Cassie described, if he really was trying to warn the world, then Kanye West isn't just another celebrity in the background. He may have been the first person who tried to blow the whistle. And according to several reports, he wasn't the only one at those events who saw something disturbing. Another name appears on the guest list, one that feels completely out of place: Mike Myers. When Mike Myers' name surfaced in connection to the Diddy trial, most people thought it had to be a mistake. The legendary comedian behind Austin Powers, Wayne's World, and Shrek seemed like the last person you'd expect to find anywhere near the chaos engulfing the hip-hop world. But in Hollywood, nothing is ever quite what it seems, and Myers' brief appearance in this story reveals how deep Diddy's connections really went, even into the world of comedy royalty. According to a sealed witness summary leaked by a court aide, Mike Myers is listed not as a suspect, but as a possible witness to undisclosed activity at an exclusive Bad Boy Entertainment event in 2009. The party held in the Hollywood Hills was a who's who of industry elites: actors, musicians, executives, and a few notable names from outside the usual hip-hop circle. One of those guests, allegedly, was Mike Myers. He was reportedly invited through a mutual connection in the film world. At the time, Myers was in a transitional period in his career. Post-Shrek and semi-retired, he had become more reclusive, turning down major roles and rarely appearing in public. That party, according to insiders, was one of the few events he attended that year, and he didn't stay long. Multiple anonymous attendees later claimed that Myers looked uncomfortable within 30 minutes of arriving. One source described him as being visibly disturbed after seeing an incident involving a young woman in distress and several high-profile male guests leading her into a locked room. Myers reportedly asked someone if everything was okay and was told to mind his own business. He allegedly left the event early and never returned to any similar industry parties hosted by Diddy or his circle again. While Myers has never spoken publicly about the incident, his name has quietly circulated in private legal conversations surrounding the case. Investigators reportedly reached out to him in 2023 when Cassie's lawsuit revived interest in past events. There's no confirmation that he gave a statement, but an entertainment journalist claimed Myers was cooperative and discreet when contacted. What makes Myers' appearance even more compelling is the shift in his public behavior after that night. In the years that followed, he grew even more withdrawn from the industry. He stopped making public appearances, avoided interviews, and was rarely seen at events unless he was under contractual obligation. For a man once known for his loud, eccentric characters, his retreat into near-total silence felt sudden and suspicious. There's speculation that Myers may have signed a legal agreement or NDA shortly after the 2009 party, which would explain his refusal to comment on Diddy, even as the scandal deepened. Others believe Myers simply wanted no part in the darkness he glimpsed and made the conscious decision to disappear from that side of Hollywood. Whatever the truth is, Myers serves as a reminder that the web surrounding Diddy's alleged crimes didn't just trap musicians. It extended far beyond genre or industry, pulling in actors, directors, comedians, and others who accidentally wandered too close. And while Myers left quietly, another celebrity at that same party would later speak of a different kind of disturbance, one of the soul, Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams has always stood apart from her Destiny's Child peers. While Beyoncé became a global icon and Kelly Rowland remained a steady figure in R&B, Michelle carved out her own lane, steeped in gospel, theater, and spiritual healing. But behind the image of a devout, grounded woman was a chapter of her past that's never been fully explained. A brief, almost forgotten connection to the very world Cassie described in her lawsuit. A world Michelle may have stepped into and then run from. It started with an invitation. In 2010, Michelle was invited to what was described as a retreat for creatives, a private industry-only gathering in upstate New York. Hosted by a combination of music executives and lifestyle moguls, it promised spiritual renewal, music collaboration, and professional networking. The guest list was elite: artists, producers, actors, and influencers, all under one roof. Diddy's name wasn't listed publicly, but insiders claim it was his house, his staff, and his rules. Michelle attended for one night. She reportedly arrived with her manager, took part in a group meditation, had dinner with several high-profile guests, including one major music producer now under federal investigation, and left by morning. Nothing about her stay seemed abnormal at first, but years later, as lawsuits and witness testimonies began to mention that exact location, Michelle's brief stay took on a darker meaning. According to a leaked deposition from a former staff member, a famous female gospel artist arrived unexpectedly, felt uncomfortable after hearing certain sounds from upstairs, and abruptly departed. The document never names Michelle, but the timeline and details line up. That same year, in a series of interviews, Michelle began speaking cryptically about spiritual warfare in the industry and how she had once seen something that broke her heart. At the time, fans assumed she was referencing industry backstabbing or general fame fatigue. But now those interviews are being viewed under a new lens. In a 2014 appearance on The Breakfast Club, Michelle was asked why she never fully embraced Hollywood the way Beyoncé or Kelly did. She laughed, then paused and said, "There are things I saw, things I felt in my spirit. I knew I had to get out. I knew it wasn't for me." It was brushed off at the time, but it resonates now, especially as details from the Diddy investigation continue to emerge. Sources claim Michelle may have been contacted by federal investigators in 2023 regarding what she saw, heard, or suspected during that 2010 retreat. Whether she gave a statement is unknown. Michelle has made no public comment about the case, and given her strong religious convictions, some believe she may feel conflicted about revisiting that period at all. One friend close to Michelle said, "She stayed silent out of peace, not fear. But if pushed, I think she would tell the truth. She always has." That silence has been strategic. Michelle has turned down interviews, removed herself from industry events connected to the Bad Boy legacy, and doubled down on her faith-based ventures. But people who know her say she's been deeply affected by the recent wave of revelations, especially Cassie's story. The irony? Michelle once recorded a song about survival and spiritual rescue. At the time, it was seen as a gospel metaphor. Now, some believe it may have been her way of speaking her truth, without naming names. Michelle's brief encounter with Diddy's circle serves as a chilling glimpse into how widespread and far-reaching his influence really was. Even artists on the fringe, those who walked in for just one night, left with scars, questions, or stories they never told. And while Michelle slipped away before things escalated, the next celebrity didn't get that luxury. Michael B. Jordan walked into Diddy's world willingly, and may have stayed longer than he should have. Michael B. Jordan has long cultivated an image of control, disciplined, successful, and scandal-free. From his early days on The Wire to leading roles in Creed and Black Panther, he's come to represent a new wave of Black Hollywood. Suave, calculated, and untouchable. But behind the tailored suits and movie premieres, Jordan has been quietly linked to a circle of elite celebrity parties, luxury retreats, and private events hosted by some of the most powerful names in the industry, Sean Diddy Combs included. His name doesn't appear in any public lawsuits. He hasn't been accused of any crimes, but multiple whispers, insider reports, and leaked security documents suggest that Michael B. Jordan may have been a silent observer inside the same exclusive ecosystem now under federal scrutiny. And if the rumors are true, his sudden pullback from certain Hollywood circles might not be a coincidence. The timeline is telling. From 2016 to 2019, Jordan's star was rising fast. During that stretch, he was frequently photographed at high-profile industry events hosted by Diddy, Jay-Z, and other elite power players. Photos from Grammy Weekend, Paris Fashion Week, and yacht parties in Ibiza show him comfortably mingling with A-listers. One particular video from 2018 shows Jordan arriving at a Diddy-hosted private bash in Beverly Hills. At the time, it was seen as just another moment of celebrity networking. But now that footage is being reanalyzed by online sleuths combing through connections in the Diddy case. According to a leaked internal memo from a former private security firm contracted for multiple Diddy events, Jordan's name was included on recurring VIP guest lists for private parties held between 2017 and 2020. The memo, marked confidential, describes these guests as non-participatory but present during classified high-risk activity. While the language is vague, the suggestion is clear. Jordan may have seen more than he wanted to, even if he was never directly involved. One anonymous staff member who worked at a 2019 event alleged that Jordan kept his distance from most of the late-night gatherings, but never looked comfortable and seemed to always leave early. The same source described a moment when Jordan confronted a staffer about a visibly intoxicated woman who appeared to be in distress. The staffer claims Jordan was told to let security handle it. Minutes later, he reportedly left the event without speaking to anyone. In 2023, as allegations against Diddy mounted and Cassie's lawsuit reignited public scrutiny, Jordan quietly canceled appearances at two major events that were expected to include members of Diddy's former inner circle. One was an after-party tied to the Oscars. The other was a private birthday gathering that had previously included Drake, French Montana, and several Bad Boy alumni. Those cancellations were never explained. What's more telling is that around the same time, Jordan's social media footprint changed. He unfollowed several music industry figures, stopped posting event photos, and shifted focus almost entirely to film production and fitness. While it could all be coincidental, those who track celebrity behavior closely noted the pattern and pointed out that it mirrors the behavior of others who've quietly tried to distance themselves from the growing legal firestorm. There's also an unverified claim, originating from a defunct Hollywood gossip podcast, that Jordan had been approached by federal investigators in late 2023 as a character witness for another unnamed celebrity now entangled in Diddy's legal web. The show was pulled from streaming platforms shortly after airing that episode. Its host has refused to comment on whether they were served a cease and desist. It's important to note that Michael B. Jordan has never been accused of any wrongdoing, but in the court of public curiosity, the silence of celebrities who attended these events is starting to speak volumes. Jordan's deliberate shift away from high-profile nightlife, his absence from music industry events, and his seemingly sudden reevaluation of professional relationships all suggest a man who either saw something or heard something. In a rare 2022 interview, when asked what part of fame bothered him most, Jordan replied, "There are rooms you get invited into that don't feel right. Not everything is what it seems. And sometimes the smartest thing you can do is leave quietly." Maybe that was just a general reflection, or maybe it was something else, a coded admission. Because while Jordan may have had the foresight to step back, others weren't so lucky. The next man in this chain of chaos didn't just walk away, he got violently dragged into the storm. Kid Cudy. Of all the names linked to the Diddy scandal, Kid Cudy's story might be the most terrifying. His involvement didn't come through court filings or carefully worded statements, it came through an explosion, literally. Scott Cudy, known to the world as Kid Cudy, has always been an artist who wears his pain openly. From the start of his career, he made vulnerability his brand, confronting mental health struggles, depression, and addiction in a way that was rare in hip-hop. But in 2023, As Cassie Ventura's lawsuit against Diddy shocked the entertainment world, one paragraph stood out. In it, she alleged that during an argument with Diddy, he threatened to blow up Kid Cudy's car. The threat seemed so outlandish it was almost easy to dismiss until Cudy's car actually exploded. It happened in 2012, years before Cassie ever filed her lawsuit. A vehicle parked in Cudy's driveway suddenly burst into flames. No injuries were reported. No charges were filed. The incident received minor coverage at the time, buried in the back pages of entertainment blogs and quickly forgotten. But with the release of Cassie's lawsuit, the event was resurrected and viewed under a far more sinister light. Cudy's team never gave an official explanation for the explosion. They issued no press release. There was no police follow-up in the public record. But when Cassie's lawyers mentioned the incident as a direct result of Diddy's violent behavior, people started connecting the dots. What was once dismissed as a freak accident now looked more like a message. Kid Cudy has remained silent on the matter, and that silence has been deafening. This is an artist who has written entire albums about his trauma, who's spoken publicly about his darkest moments, his rehab stint, his suicidal ideation, and yet on this, nothing. No tweet, no interview comment, not even a denial. For fans who know Cudy's openness, that silence has felt strategic, maybe even protective. Those close to him say that Cudy became increasingly withdrawn from the music industry after the incident. He severed ties with multiple collaborators, left Kanye West's GOOD music label, and retreated into acting and independent projects. While he's continued to release music, he's noticeably avoided most high-profile music industry events, especially those tied to Diddy's circle. There's also been speculation that Cudy may have given private testimony to investigators when the federal probes into Diddy's dealings began gaining traction in 2023. Nothing has been confirmed, but anonymous sources tied to the Department of Justice claim that multiple public figures provided sealed statements, including at least one artist previously targeted through acts of intimidation. Many believe that artist was Cudy. What makes his case especially disturbing is the pattern it fits into. Cassie's lawsuit alleges a history of intimidation, blackmail, and retaliation by Diddy against anyone who crossed him. And Cudy, by dating Cassie briefly or even just being a friend, may have landed himself in the crosshairs. It's a chilling reminder that in Diddy's world, power wasn't just financial, it was violent. Punishments weren't always public. Sometimes they were explosions in driveways, silences in interviews, empty seats at industry events where once promising careers faded into self-imposed exile. And if Kid Cudy was the victim of a threat meant to scare others into submission, then it worked. He stayed quiet ever since. But others didn't get the chance to speak at all, because the next name on this list, Prince, died before anyone could ask him what he really knew. Prince was never afraid to challenge the system. Long before lawsuits and federal raids rocked Diddy's empire, Prince was warning artists about the shadows behind the music industry's glittering facade. He spoke openly about masters, contracts, and slave dynamics, but in his final years, his warnings became more cryptic, more pointed. Footage from a 2015 awards show shows Prince visibly avoiding Diddy, refusing to shake his hand. In interviews, he alluded to being watched, to dangerous knowledge. One rare backstage moment, caught off camera but recounted by a fellow artist, had Prince allegedly whispering, "You don't know who you're dealing with. That man's protected." Then in 2016, Prince died under mysterious circumstances. Official reports cite a fentanyl overdose, but those close to him insist he had become increasingly paranoid, stockpiling information, journals, and music he believed might expose something bigger. There are rumors, still unconfirmed, that some of those journals contain names, places, dates. And according to a sealed affidavit tied to the Diddy investigation, federal agents made a quiet inquiry about whether any of Prince's estate materials included references to Bad Boy Entertainment or its affiliates. Nothing was ever found, or at least nothing was ever released. These 7 celebrities, Cassie, Kanye West, Mike Myers, Michelle Williams, Michael B. Jordan, Kid Cudy, and Prince, paint a portrait far bigger than any one trial. Some were victims, some were witnesses, some were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. But all were drawn into a system built on silence, fear, and unchecked power. As the Diddy case unfolds, more names may surface, more testimonies may be unsealed, and the world will finally see what was happening behind closed doors while the cameras were rolling and everyone was pretending everything was fine. This isn't just about Diddy, it's about the machine that protected him, and that machine is starting to break.